Welcome again to Franchising Stronger Together. I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of You Know Who, IFPG, the International Franchise Professionals Group. We are joined today by another great couple, not that kind of couple, two wonderful franchise professionals in franchising. Good friends, Tim Vogel. Tim is founder and CEO of Scenthound, as you see it behind him there. And our great friend, who does not know and love, Eileen Proctor, VP of Development at Scenthound as well. Welcome to the call, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You got
Always
it.
good to be with you, Brad.
Well, thank you, Eileen. You too. I got to meet Tim a year and a half ago at the Titus Center for Franchising's Selling Franchises boot camp.
Yep.
And I knew from the day we met, you had big things were coming. And then some 6 or 8 or 10 months ago, when I heard you somehow convinced Eileen to come on board, there was a powerhouse in the making. So excited to have you guys both on the call today. Let's start with you, Eileen. You're in Florida, if I'm thinking right. How are you and the family doing?
We're doing great, thank you. You know, if it would stop raining, I could stop building the ark. We've had some weather issues, but we're happy, we're healthy. I just added another fur child to my pack, new golden retriever. So you know what? We're all making the best of everything, and I honestly have to say we're doing fine. Thank you.
Right on. I've never seen you without a smile. And Tim, how about you? Where are you located?
Yeah, so Jupiter, Florida, so Southeast Florida as well, and the family's doing great as well. We did make it through homeschooling / video conference schooling, so that was a big kind of change I'm sure everyone was dealing with over the last couple of months, but we successfully navigated that, and now we're trying to figure out how to navigate summer.
And how old are your crew?
So I've got a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old, 2 boys.
15 and 11?
Yep.
And you read my mind. I was going to say your non-furry crew, as
Yep.
Eileen has a big pack at her place.
Good.
Awesome. So good to hear everybody's well. Now, y'all, I would think, really had some struggle in this crisis. Now, what we're going to talk about today, we're in a kind of the in-between time where these conversations were all about how you handle in the COVID-19 crisis. Now we're seeing, you know, we're obviously exiting that. We're looking to the future. But I know the listeners would love to understand, how were you impacted and how did you respond? But more importantly, how you moving forward in the future. Tim, can you help us with that? And you know what? I always love to jump ahead. Before we hit that, who the heck is Scenthound? Give us an idea so we can put it in perspective.
Yeah, so we're a membership-based, wellness-focused dog grooming business. And so we really make it fast, easy, and affordable for people to get their dog washed, bath, ears, nails, teeth, basic haircuts, stuff like that.
Got it. You're not mobile. You're in a typical strip center.
Correct.
Square footage?
Yeah, we're about 1,000 square foot is our ideal footprint, and we're really about kind of 15 to 20 minutes in and out the door to get the preventive health and maintenance your dog needs.
That's a fast one. And what about, just to, again, in perspective, investment range? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the franchise fee is $50,000, and it's really kind of roughly about $150, $200 to get the thing all up and running all the way through operational. So
okay, very straight ahead franchise there. All right, so back to the original question: how did you get impacted? How did you pivot?
Yeah, so we had really good communication with our local community, the city, the town, the county, all that kind of stuff. And we were fortunately deemed an essential business here in Florida. Since we're emerging, it's all of it was really our corporate stores, even though we have franchisees in the process of opening stores. And so that was the first stage, is really good communication with our community to find out if we could continue to operate or not. That was kind of stage one. We were fortunate enough to be deemed essential. Stage two was really kind of, how do we operate safely? And there's kind of 2 components to that. I think the first thing is, how do we keep our employees safe? And so we really sat down and retooled kind of how we operate so that we can keep our employees safe and really have them feel safe while they're there. And then the other part of that is really, how do we get our customers to feel safe and feel safe to be able to do business with us? Again, we were really fortunate because the dynamic is when people are stuck home with their dogs, they pay more attention to their dogs. And so we actually saw no difference in an impact in our business year over year in the month of April, which is really where kind of everything was going a little haywire. So we changed our processes to keep our employees safe, to keep our customers safe, and we continued to see business. As those processes hardened and we got more comfortable with them, in the month of May, we actually had the best month in the history of our company, believe it or not. So we are very fortunate, and I know that's not the situation with everybody, but we actually were very fortunate in this situation to be able to operate. And so, so those processes we can dig into if you want, but really around keeping your employees safe and keeping your customers safe. And then on top of that, making sure that the perception of safety is also there.
Fascinating. That you would have I don't know if retail is not the right word, your service, but you're in a retail center. Yeah. And yet in the month of April and May, you really, I guess the word would be thrived, despite the economic hardships and the fears and the mass hysteria that was going on in most people's lives.
Yeah, and if you think about this segment, this industry, so a couple of big trends happened while coronavirus was going on. Number one, a lot of the shelters were cleared, meaning people adopted all available dogs out there. And the second thing is you can't buy a puppy right now. And the thinking is, and it's quite straightforward, I think, is if I'm going to have to be working from home for the next 3 months, my kids have been out looking for a dog, I've been thinking of a dog, now's the perfect time because we're home and we can be able to train that dog. We can introduce him into the family. And I think, so that's one big dynamic. And the second one is, we fundamentally believe all dogs are therapy dogs. And so in a time of high stress, people really turn to their dogs to help them cope with that stress. They really are that unconditional love and presence in your home that helps you through these tough times. And so because of that, you become more empathetically in tune to your dog. You start paying more attention to their care. You want them clean. They're on the furniture with you. And so you're gonna spend the money to get them the care they need.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you, my dog is not good therapy for me. Tell you what, he gives me anxiety. Oh,
it should be the opposite.
I need to go over to Eileen's house for a little while and get him trained properly.
Yeah. Open invitation.
So moving forward, now, before we jump into FranDev's site, because I know Eileen has some good news to share with us there, which again is so surprising to me. It shouldn't be, but you just keep hearing, if you watch any of the mass media, you think the entire world has fallen apart. And yet you get good news from great franchisors like y'all. It's just certainly encouraging. And that's one of the big reasons why I love doing this. Besides sharing with the franchise community best practices, also sharing encouragement. And this is very encouraging to hear. So Tim, in any additional best practices that you're learning and you've implemented with your corporate stores and then all the franchise locations that you're opening that franchisors could benefit from?
Yeah, so I think kind of throughout all of this, the biggest key was great communication. So we had to ramp up our communication as we went through this process. So internally, we have a daily huddle every single day, and we kind of talk about our big win yesterday, our key focus for today, what we're stuck on, stuff like that. We took that daily huddle and made it a coronavirus huddle. So every single day, what are we doing to make our employees safer, to make our customers feel safe, and to communicate with them how we're actually doing that. So we set up a set of rules that our customers have to follow to do business with us. It seemed like that would be restrictive, but it actually gave a second layer of comfort to that potential customer that I can come in and do business with you safely. So I think that's one of the key things is you just have to ramp up communication internally and externally to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all working towards the same goal.
Well, Tim, so I heard the word huddle and the daily huddle and the communications. Do you guys follow the EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System?
Yeah, so we're a very true to EOS shop. We've been doing that for kind of 4 to 5 years now, with one exception, the daily huddle, we added that in, which is not true EOS, but we have what we call our PAC 10 meeting every single day where we IDS issues, we do quarterlies, we do annuals, we do all of that stuff. And we find that it is a really effective way to keep us organized, consistent, and accountable.
Buddy, you're preaching the choir. I think EOS, and based on the book Traction by Gino Wittman, is a game changer. A couple of years ago, I was at I think it was franchise leadership and development in Atlanta, And the last day, about half the folks, there's 400 and some folks there, all in either CEO or kind of VP development, director of development roles. We had half the group had stayed for the last day, and it was really, anyway, I love the last day of that. And they ask everybody about how you lead, how you communicate, how you organize, how you set the vision. It was a real game changer for a lot of folks. I'm sitting there in that room, and I'm with the CEO group at the time, and there was probably 30 of us. There was a solid 10 of the 30 franchisors that were following the EOS system.
Yep.
That was impressive, frankly, because, you know, it's like 1% of entrepreneurs out there really doing that, which is still a lot, but man.
Brad, I wanted to point out something about that is that, yeah, we do the EO system and we do our huddles at corporate, but something that Tim has instituted, which has been amazing and helping the employees and the centers during this, is they've got daily huddles of their own. And it allows them to be able to discuss issues, reconnect with our purpose, our core values, our North Star. Because, you know, it's easy during this time for employees to freak out a little bit and the trickle down not to get to them the way they need it. We can't even presuppose what employees might need. But what Tim has instituted that has been remarkably effective is the daily huddles at each one of our centers to ensure that the pack is working together so that they feel supported, so that they're communicated with, and they can communicate with each other. Tim, don't you agree that that's been an amazing reason why we've really flourished through this amount of strangeness in our society?
Yeah, so the word I would use is alignment, right? And so what are the mechanisms you use to align everybody? And as things change, you need to have a meeting rhythm, or what I really think of as the heartbeat of the organization, that is all keeping us aligned. And so that's what we talked about. Like when you want to walk, your heart beats slowly. If you need to run, your heart beats faster. And that's why we talked about kind of changing that rhythm to coronavirus every single day, because we had a lot of change coming, and we needed to accelerate that rhythm to make sure that we were all continuing to align as change was happening.
Love that, Tim. You know, I strongly believe that more problems in this world, problems like wars, problems like divorces, problems like entrepreneurs fighting with partners, problems with clients, problems with your friends, problem with your kids, communication. That is the problem. Poor communication causes it all.
Yes.
And selfishness falls in there. But when you have good communication, like you're sharing here, clarity is gained. And with clarity comes comfort, comes peace, comes thriving in many cases. So I know we got off a little off topic, but man, kudos to you.
Well, I'd say one other thing is you've got to feel safe. And so if you create a safe environment, then you can have the actual open, authentic conversations, which then actually mean something and move something forward. And so that's an important component to this is, do I feel safe in this environment that I can share in a way that will actually be authentic and move us forward?
Love it. Okay, so here's one for both of you. I'll start with you, Tim, and then we'll kind of dovetail it into the FranDev side. Marketing your business, marketing to the consumer, marketing to the franchise opportunity seeker. How did that change through the crisis and now moving forward?
You know, it's interesting. We were actually a little bit ahead of the curve before we knew coronavirus was a thing or was going to hit us. I kind of had an intuition that recession was coming, or some form of recession was coming. And they do correlate with election years and all that other kind of stuff. So we shifted kind of our overall external communication to be, hey, look, we're really in a recession-resistant / recession-proof industry or segment. And so we're recession-proof. Turns out we're actually pandemic-proof. And so, you know, we actually shifted all of our marketing communication that way kind of 2 or 3 months before it happened, which just put us in a great position to continue to beat that drum. And as you'll hear in a little bit from Eileen, is actually accelerated our growth. And so we're growing faster kind of on a FranDev side than we have in the history of our organization. And so there's a couple dynamics. One is kind of the understanding of the office dog is now at home with you, right? So that's now your new office dog. And the fact that we're really recession proof and people are looking for places that are safe to put their money in their investment.
Understood. Eileen, how about you? How did you change your messaging?
You know, we actually made a concerted decision at the beginning of this year that we were going to shift all of our franchise development outreach, if you will, through broker networks. Okay, and so we carefully selected which broker networks Scenthound was going to work with, because our feeling is the consultants, they're vetting people for us. They're giving us pre-qualified individuals from an emotion perspective, from a talent perspective, from a investment level, all of that. And it seems, again, Tim's kind of a visionary, so we had this inclination that this was the right way to go, because what I'm finding and what I've heard is that a lot of the other franchises out there, they're still doing a lot of organics, okay? But there's a lot of people who are approaching them out of desperation, out of fear, out of I've been let go, or I better do something fast, or the market is falling, oh my gosh, right? So what we did was make that decision early on to go strictly through the broker networks. And now we're reinforcing exactly what Tim just said to the brokers, that we are looking for specific individuals. It's not just the doggy lovers, okay? It's not the people looking to buy a job. But what we're finding is that by reinforcing the very positive aspects of our industry, $90 billion pet industry, the solid nature of our organization, okay, that has been created over 15 years, even though we're just starting to franchise as an expansion model since last April 2019, right? So all the experience that we have, and we're really fortifying it by telling the consultants and the brokers who we are, dispelling the myths about this is just for people who love dogs. And what we're finding is, by telling them we're looking for a higher level of individual, somebody who's a C level or a V level, high director level, early adopter, we're hyper focused on who our best candidates are. So we've crafted the communication. We're doing more face-to-face on Zoom calls as well as telephone calls, e-blast, a lot more communication with the brokers, and it's rewarding us with more territory checks, more registrations at a higher level and of candidate. And what that means is they're going through the pipeline much faster, because these are individuals who get the business, who get the opportunity, who get everything that we have to offer, and they can make faster decisions. Does that make sense?
Well, Eileen, are you saying you don't like to talk to 300 people to get to one qualified lead?
Yeah, you know what? I think they don't really want to talk with me. I tend to be pretty verbose, you know. No, but yeah, exactly. And okay, this is not a paid advertisement for
right.
For any network. But the truth of the matter is that we're going to wind up spending. Tim does a lot of investigating and research, but we're going to spend whatever that franchise reward is to the consultants anyway on marketing, on my time and effort. It's not worth it. Let's let the experts do their jobs and let us work as a team together. And you know, we just closed a great deal with IFPG, with Doug Grant, west of the Mississippi. By us communicating better and by the quality of the franchise consultants getting what we're there, they can go out and beat the bushes for us so that we have the right people. And what we have found is that now our closing time from the start of the discovery process until the end, we're doing it in 6 to 7 weeks maybe. And so that's really important, as well as the speed, because time kills deals. We all know that, right?
So help us understand. Let's go February to now. Right. February, March, April, May. We got 4 months there. Mm-hmm. Include January if you want. What's the pipeline, franchise development pipeline, looked like month to month to month? Because I'm talking to Zors, I'm getting answers all over the place. I had, as a typical, a bit of a dip for March. Saw a massive dip for April. It's picking up in May a little bit. June's looking fantastic for a lot. But some, just kept going up and up and up because they were, more pandemic friendly is another term I've been hearing. So what about y'all? How did you get impacted? Because, just to be clear, you didn't really change your time, your money, your investment, your efforts in FranDev creation activities during that time. So that would cause obviously a different result. If you kept it fairly consistent throughout this, What did you see in results on volume and quality?
Yeah, I think that I don't have my numbers in front of me, but we were on a steady incline, okay, continually more and more. I think that the brokers, consultants were looking for pandemic resistant and Amazon resistant and smaller real estate footprint. They were doing a better job of being able to look at the notes and communicate with me and ask questions, et cetera. So we saw, I would say, probably 25 to 50% more and more qualified is really the key here. The more qualified type of candidates coming in. And over the course of the last 2 months, we've actually awarded, Tim, am I correct, 10 units through 3 different broker groups, all right? So
in April and May, you awarded 10 new franchises?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and we've got another Meet the Pack Day. That's what we call our Discovery Day. To Meet the Pack Day coming up, and we're doing those virtually because again, we're very prudent about not just keep getting people, you know, into a room together and yammering and spreading germs, right? Because safety is important. So we're doing monthly virtual Meet the Pack Days. We're preparing the candidates better. We've modified our system, our process a little bit because now it doesn't cost anybody anything to come to a Meet the Pack Day. So we want to make sure they're better vetted, all right? That we've got this kind of a directive that we want people to be like 90% ready to move forward within 10 days. And that's what we're finding we're able to do now because we're getting more serious, motivated, and capable buyers at this point.
Of the 10, thank you, Eileen. Of the 10 that you've awarded in the last 2 months, how many of those were virtual Discovery Day versus in-person Discovery Day?
Only one of them was a in-person Discovery Day, and it actually languished back to probably February. And that particular individual was for a single unit, and they actually put the halt on things because of the pandemic that was going on. Their primary business was shut down, and they just needed to wait until they could get back into a flow. But we did 3 3-packs, and every one of them were through virtual Discovery Days. They all wound up, their total discovery process was about 7 to 8 weeks, and they closed within 2.5 weeks of coming to a virtual Discovery Day.
And these Meet the Pack Days, love that title. Are you seeing the same number or percentage of folks come to them that would come in person? You've kept the same criteria that, hey, you need to be 90% there. You need to be able to make a decision within about 10 days after it. So that rule or guidance was there before virtual and through virtual. Any big changes you've seen?
Actually, we've seen more people attending through virtual, obviously, all right, because again, there's no barrier to the time or the expense. We've improved, again, the vetting process, the mutual vetting process, and we're maturing as a franchisor. Remember, we've only been doing this for a year, so we're still morphing what's going on for us to see what works. So in the beginning, we were kind of limiting our Meet the Pack Days to one group because we wanted to stay on top of it. But our confidence and our closing ratio and our team, as Tim is building an unbelievable blue ribbon team for us to be able to give presentations that are even more impressive and to show the depth to which the sun rises and sets with our franchisees. It's all coming across. So more and more people are attending. We're able to manage the question and answers, give the most important information based on the experience we're gathering, and be able to move them forward with more confidence. So getting more people in, getting more people closed. And I think that's what every franchisor wants, right?
You want a good match, absolutely, and you're an expert at that. So here's a curveball, Eileen. Tell me the truth. Does Tim have a good integrator? Because Tim's a visionary. I can see that all day long. Does he have a good integrator to keep him tethered to make things happen and focus on what matters?
So I'm going to tell you that we have got just about the best integrator in all of franchising, and his name is Kieran Scott. And Kieran, he's an amazing guy. He's got a lot of franchise experience, which helps, but he's deliberate, he's organized, he's honest, he's communicative. And as we know for Tim, anybody that knows Tim's, to know him is to love him, but to also know that he's like, bing, 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 you know, every idea is a great idea and he wants to act on everything. So having Kieran as our integrator, okay, within our system has made an amazing difference for us, not to stop moving forward, but to move forward with better purpose, better organization, and better results. Tim, did I explain that correctly?
I think you did a phenomenal job of it. And yes, he is the cooling saucer to my hot coffee. So Kieran does a very good job of saying, okay, these 10 ideas I hear, this one's the one we're going to act on next. Everything else has to get shelved so that we can continue to move forward in a systematic way.
And this is a great little bit of a testimony to folks who aren't familiar with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and how it works and how it balances the team, how it prioritizes focus. It's a neat system, and folks out there aren't familiar with it. The book Traction by Gino Wittman's a really solid book. And to really understand it, you probably want to read it 5 times because it can be overwhelming. But ultimately, you want someone that is a EOS, I think it's an EOS facilitator is what they call them, to help guide you and really give you the insights to make it a reality. Because without that, you really won't follow it properly. Am I right, guys? I mean, y'all had a
There's a book called What the Heck is EOS, which is like a really simplified version of it. And so that's probably a great way just to kind of take a quick look at it without going into kind of the operation manual, which is Traction.
Good call. What the heck is EOS? All right. Gang, Tim, any last comments, insights, predictions for franchisors out there?
Yeah, so I think we're all going to be experiencing a rebound. I think we're starting to go into that rebound. And I think, we're fundamentally going to have to figure out, I think the recovery is going to be kind of consumer-based, not government-based. So we're going to have to figure out how to make our consumers feel safe while doing business with us. And if we can figure that out as a business, I think the recovery is going to be fantastic. I think people want to go back out. They want to get back to their regular lives, but they don't feel, they want to feel safe at the same time. And so we just need to manage that, communicate well around that. If you as your business can kind of figure that piece out, I think we're going to have no problems recovering.
Love it. And best for last, Miss Eileen, any predictions for the future, the second half of the year, both for franchising and for Scenthound?
I think that for franchising in general, it's going to be a super strong second half of the year and going into 2021, et cetera. People at this time in our history, for a variety of reasons, whether it's the stock market, whether it's COVID, whether it's politics, it doesn't matter. People are looking for stability, and more than ever, they are looking for the ways to be able to control what they can control. And franchising is an ideal way for people to do that with their career and for their families as well. So that's my first prediction, is that we're going to see an incredible increase in the number of people who are interested in moving forward with franchising. I think for franchisors, one of the most important things you can do is look to this surge that you are going to have. And we happen to be in an excellent industry where we know that we will continue to attract people. I think a lot of franchisors, unfortunately, they're going to stop franchising or slow it down altogether for the next 6 months. So a lot of fallout will come to other business models such as ours. So it's incumbent upon us to and all the CEOs out there to be like Tim, to be able to communicate, to be able to field a great team that meets the expectations of those new franchisees and the existing franchisees. Because without successful franchise owners, we all know this, I know it sounds trite, none of us are going to be around, in the future. So building now, getting your infrastructure in place, tightening up the things that maybe are a little bit loose in your organization that could come and rear their ugly heads. Tighten up, get that team in play, trust them. Okay, again, one of our core values is that we're one pack, and that means trust and respect. Trust them to do their jobs and do everything you can to make those franchisees successful. And I think that everybody's got a bright future. And Scenthound is definitely something that should be, a model for what we're doing, should be a model for every franchisor.
Agreed. And I don't know how you did it, Eileen, but you've got a picture of my Cody, my golden doodle behind you on both sides of you. That is a picture perfect shot of him, believe it or not. Anyway.
Yeah, we know our audience. We make sure we do that.
That happens to be my dog, Red.
Is that your dog?
Yeah.
That is. Oh my gosh. We got a love match. Love match here.
No, and I wouldn't be surprised if in this day and age with digital technology that I could have done that, but you know, I wasn't going to say anything, Tim, but next time I'll figure out a way to get Cody to co-star with us.
We have a great dog in common.
We do. And I've also got a multi-poo Tucker, so we'll have to introduce them sometime.
Great.
Gang, we have been blessed as usual by Tim Vogel, founder CEO of Scenthound, and sweet Eileen Proctor, VP of Development at Scenthound. And you've been listening to Red Boswell with IFPG and Franchising Stronger Together. There has never been a better time to be in franchising. Yet again, we hear from it and hear why today. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.